Hey everyone, welcome back to the third video in our mini course, Cloud Computing for Biologists. If you have been following along, thank you. You're officially on your way to becoming a cloud-savvy biologist. And if you're just joining us now, no worries at all. You can always catch up later. Now, in our first video, we talked about what cloud computing really means, especially for us in biology. We looked at different cloud environments and models, and most importantly, how cloud services like AWS can help us handle large data set. Then, in our second video, we dove into AWS itself. I gave you a sneak peek of various cloud providers and showed you how different AWS services power modern biology, be it genomics or drug discovery, you name it. Besides, we have a separate video in which we saw how to create your AWS account for free. Please make sure to watch that and have your account ready for our future hands-on demo videos. Now, in this third video, we are getting to the exciting part, Amazon SageMaker. This is where your biology data meets machine learning. Also, if you are enjoying this mini course, please like and subscribe for all the future updates. Here's what we'll cover in today's video. What is SageMaker? Secondly, benefits of SageMaker as to how it saves you time and effort. Then we will walk through the traditional machine learning pipeline. We will also talk about machine learning pipeline in SageMaker. Then we will talk about SageMaker architecture as to how it works behind the scenes. Next, we will look into recent updates on SageMaker in AWS console. I'll also give you a brief intro on notebook instances versus SageMaker Studio, but more we will cover during our demo sessions. And finally, we'll look at real-world use cases as to which biotech and pharma companies are already using SageMaker to push the boundaries of the science. Okay, so let's talk about the star of this video, Amazon SageMaker. Now, think of SageMaker like your lab's personal machine learning assistant. Let's say you want to build a model that predicts antibiotic resistance gene from your genome data. Normally, what you'll do is you will need a GPU powered machine. You'll install tons of software like, let's say, Python, R, SQL for querying the data, etc. You'll manage servers, and by the time you're done setting up things, you will be out of your coffee as well as patience, at least with me. But with SageMaker, it's different. What you have to do is you just open a notebook, write a few lines of code, and Amazon quietly spins up a powerful machine to do all your hard work, then shuts it down when you're done. It's basically like booking a sequencing run, except for machine learning. And the best part is you can use any framework you want. You can use PyTorch, you can use TensorFlow, you can use scikit-learn. Don't worry about these frameworks, we'll discuss later. But also you can, use your own model in the Docker container. So what SageMaker really is, it's basically a fully managed machine learning platform by AWS. That means it helps you build, train, and deploy machine learning models without needing to worry about infrastructure, hardware, or configuration headaches. In short, what it can help you is you just have to bring your biology and the question, of course, whereas SageMaker brings the compute power, the automation, and most importantly, the speed. Alright, so let's discuss about the benefits of SageMaker as to how it saves time, money, and effort. So let's say you're trying to train a machine learning model the old school way. So that would be the image on your left. What you would need to do is you need to find a machine that's powerful enough, maybe with a GPU. Then install Python, R, libraries like TensorFlow or PyTorch, troubleshoot version issues, configure your environment, and only then you might get to train your model. And after all that, you still have to figure out how to deploy it, share results, and keep it secure. Now, it's exhausting for people who know what I mean, and even for people who actually live and breathe tech. Now, let's flip that and see what Amazon SageMaker can do. It's like with Amazon SageMaker, it's like having a full machine learning facility in the cloud, which is available on demand. Basically, you open your notebook, load your data and hit go. SageMaker spins up the perfect compute resources, trains your model, shuts everything down when it's done, and even sets up a live endpoint so that you can use your model in real time. Now, what I want you to take away from this slide is, with SageMaker, firstly, it reduces the cost. You only pay for what you use. Training and inference machines spin up only when needed, then disappear, because you need stronger machines for training and inference, and they only come when your data is ready for training and inference, and then they disappear. Secondly, all in one platform. You can build, train and deploy, and as well as monitor your models all in one place. Next is faster model training. Now, SageMaker uses optimized hardware, so training is way faster than your laptop. Fourth, important, that it scales with your project. When it's 100 rows of data or 10 millions, SageMaker can handle it. It handles it well. The fifth one is secure and compliant. So, especially with biological data, your data stays protected with AWS's top-tier security standard. And lastly, smooth data transfer. Data from S3, that is a storage service in AWS, flows in seamlessly. You don't need to upload files every time. Of course, there are other services for storage. We will be using S3 for our demo purpose, and that's why I mentioned S3 here. So basically, whether you are in the small research lab or working on a global bio project, SageMaker helps you move faster, spend less, and get reliable results. And those are the benefits of using SageMaker. We looked into what SageMaker is, what are the benefits of using SageMaker. Now in this slide, let's look at the traditional machine learning pipeline. Before we get into how SageMaker simplifies everything, let's see how the traditional machine learning workflow looks like. And I have divided it into 5 blocks. Of course, you can divide it into multiple subgroups if you want, but the major ones are data collection, data processing, model training, model evaluation, and prediction. So first, what you will do is you will collect your data, often from multiple sources. Then there's a lot of cleaning and transforming, a bit like prepping your samples before the big experiment. Then you manually choose and configure your model, then train it, tweak hyperparameters, and evaluate how it performs. And finally, if you make it that far, you deploy it into production and try to keep it alive with your fingers crossed. Every step involves tools, scripts, different tools, different scripts, and often different machines. It's powerful but painful. So yeah, that's traditional machine learning pipeline. Now, if you have tried doing machine learning the old school way on your biological data, you start by collecting biological data from multiple sources, maybe RNA sequencing data, patient metadata, lab logs, sometimes even handwritten observation. Then comes the difficult part of cleaning it. Each file has different format, a different structure, different naming conventions. You are stuck writing endless script just to make it usable. And that's even before you start to get to installing the machine learning tools, be it TensorFlow, or let's say PyTorch conflicts with your Python version. Some of your drivers are outdated. All you wanted to do is train a model, and you have all these problems. Even if you do get your model trained, deploying it is so that someone else can use it, that's a whole new battle. Building APIs, renting servers, debugging code. It's basically what I feel like is running a complicated lab experiment without a proper protocol, no automation, and difficulties to scale or reproduce it reliably. Now let me show you a machine learning pipeline in SageMaker. With SageMaker, you still follow the same machine learning pipeline, but it's clean, it's fast, and it's fully managed. It's basically just one integrated system built for scientists. So SageMaker breaks the process into 3 clear stages again: build, train, and deploy. Let's first look into the build stage. So your build phase is your sample prep phase. Just like you wouldn't run an assay without prepping your samples, you can't run machine learning without preparing your data. Now in SageMaker, the build phase gives you whole toolbox. Let's go through them step by step. The first one is ground truth. It's like your annotation lab. If your data isn't labeled, and let's be honest, that's usually the case, ground truth helps you label it efficiently. You can use your own team or even Amazon's workforce. And the coolest part is, it suggests labels using machine learning, kind of like semi-automated annotation, right? So ground truth will help you label the data if the data is unlabeled. The second one is data wrangler. It's like your data cleaning and transformation station. You can explore your data, filter columns, normalize values, join data sets, all with a few clicks. No Panda script, no Jupyter loops, just point, click and clean. The third one is clarify. Clarify is like your quality control. It checks if your data has bias, like if one patient group is overrepresented, and it helps explain what features are influencing your model. Super useful for clinical data or anything sensitive, because of course reproducibility and fairness matters. The next one is jumpstart. It's perfect if you don't want to write code at all. You can pick from dozens of pre-built models, image classifiers, sentiment analyzers, even protein structure predictors, and launch them in a couple of clicks. And lastly, autopilot is like your lazy but smart scientist tool. Let's say you have a clean data set, but you don't want to go through all the model tuning and hyperparameter stuff. So autopilot builds the model for you automatically. It runs multiple algorithms, tunes them, and gives you the best performer. Think of it like giving your experiment to a postdoc who runs all the tests overnight and hands you the best result in the morning. So yes, the build phase in SageMaker helps you from annotation to bias detection to no-code pipeline and full automation. And once your data is clean and ready, we move on to the training. Next is train phase, the core of any machine learning pipeline. Once you have prepped your data, it's time to teach your model, and SageMaker gives you several powerful ways to do that. First is built-in algorithms. Want to use proven models like XGBoost or linear regression or image classifier? SageMaker gives you a library of optimized, ready-to-use algorithms so that you don't have to start from scratch. The next one is experiments. This I am sure we would love. Basically, experiments let you track every model run like a lab notebook. What data you have used, what parameters you have tried, and what results you have got. So you can track your runs efficiently. The next one is managed training. Now here, let's say you write a training script or choose one, and SageMaker can automatically spin up that powerful virtual machine just for that job. Let's say you need a GPU for training your model. Done. SageMaker handles the provisioning, the scaling, and the cleanup of that machine. Now, I still remember running my first machine learning model on my laptop. My laptop got super hot, the fans went wild, and halfway through, boom, kernel crashed. Had to restart everything. That's where SageMaker managed training changed the game. Basically, it helps you to automatically spin that powerful virtual machine that you need for that particular job. And once the job is done, it disappears, the machine disappears. We will talk about it a bit more when I describe about SageMaker architecture. The last one is distributed training. Let's say if your data set is massive, like genome-wide association studies or terabytes of microscopy images, you can train your model across multiple nodes using SageMaker's built-in distributed training libraries. It lets you spread the workload across multiple powerful machines working in parallel, just like having multiple lab techs running different plates at once, or let's say like running a multi-plate PCR in parallel. Instead of doing one by one manually, SageMaker gives you a robot that loads, runs and analyzes all the plates together and then cleans up after. Alright, so you have trained your model, great, but what now? You don't want to just save the model file and keep it on your laptop. You want to actually use it, like for example getting a prediction from the model that you have trained anytime and from anywhere. That's where deploy comes in. SageMaker takes your trained model and turns it into a live prediction service called an endpoint. Think of it like a virtual lab assistant, always on, waiting for you to give new data, like a gene sequence or an image, and it replies instantly with a prediction. And here's the best part. You don't need to set up servers or worry about scaling. SageMaker handles that for you. If no one is using the model for a while, you can run it serverlessly, so you only pay when it's active. You can monitor the model's health over time. Let's say if it starts making weird prediction, you'll know and can fix it. So instead of exporting model, writing deployment code or building Flask apps like in the traditional machine learning pipeline, SageMaker just says, click here and your model is live. And that's how you go from code to actual biology prediction in real world. So yeah, build, train and deploy. It's still machine learning, but now with SageMaker, it's clean, it's collaborative, reproducible, easier and scalable. Alright, so now that we have talked about SageMaker and how it helps to build, train and deploy machine learning models, let's take a quick peek under the hood, by which I mean what actually happens when you hit run on the model training job, or let's say you hit deploy for inference. Now think of it like a high-tech biology lab. You don't do every step of your experiment on the same bench. For example, you prep samples at one station, run PCR on the another, and maybe analyze results at yet another setup. Each bench is custom built for the task. Similarly, SageMaker works the same way. It gives you dedicated compute environment for each job. Now let's walk through the step one by one, okay? First one is notebook, instance or studio. This is like your planning desk. You start in SageMaker Studio or Notebook instance, which I will show you when we do our next demo session. This is like your interactive workspace where you explore data, write Python code, tweak models, or do exploratory data analysis like a scientist planning out an experiment in the lab notebook. But here's the catch. This machine doesn't actually train the model. This machine is lightweight, perfect for experimentation and scripting, but the real action happens elsewhere. Let's see the second one, that is the training instance. This is like your experiment bench where you launch a training job. When you launch a training job, SageMaker quickly spins up a brand new machine in the background with exactly the compute power you need. Whatever the GPU is, more memory, parallel CPU, it's got you. This instance is like a clean PCR bench, custom built, powerful and temporary. When the training of your model is done, that machine or this machine shuts down automatically. No idle time, no wasted money, just efficiency. Let's look at the inference endpoint, where real-time predictions happen, which we saw in the deploy stage of the SageMaker pipeline. Now, when you deploy your model, SageMaker sets up another machine called an endpoint. This is where your model lives, ready to make prediction in real time. You send an input data, maybe a gene expression profile or DNA sequence, and it replies instantly. It's like having a sequencing robot ready 24/7 to analyze your samples. Now, S3 is something that we had seen in our previous video, even in this video. So this is like your cold storage archive. All your training data, be it FASTQ files, tables, metadata, lives in Amazon S3. which acts like your lab freezer where you have all your reagents and all your samples. Similarly, here you have all your files, data. Your training data comes from S3. After training, the model artifact is also stored in S3. Okay, it's saved in S3. Think of it as a validated protocol that's ready to reuse. The next one which I want to talk about is ECR, which is Elastic Container Registry. Now here the actual training or inference code, like for example the Python script you wrote or a pre-built algorithm from AWS, is stored in this container. Okay, it is like a toolbox shelf in your lab that holds various reagents. Now let's say you want to use a pre-built algorithm to train your model, for example XGBoost or decision tree, or you have your own model, you have your own custom training and inference code. Anything that SageMaker needs to run a training or inference job is stored in this EC3, which is Elastic Container Registry. Okay, so it then pulls the right container from this EC3, and then it spins up a compute instance. Once the SageMaker picks up this whatever model you want to use, run it on the right machine and then discards it when it's done. Just like, you're pulling a standardized kit from the storage when needed and then you are keeping it back. So discarding it once the model that is required or whatever model you have got is used for training the data that you have provided as an input. So just to summarize this architecture, the Notebook Studio is where you write your code and test ideas. So lightweight workspace. Training instance is a powerful machine that launched on demand for training your training your data set. Inference endpoint is basically where you deployed your model, always ready to make predictions. S3 is where you store your data and train models, and ECR, which stores your training and inference logic in reusable containers like Docker. Okay, so that is what SageMaker architecture looks like. Alright, quick update before we move on. Amazon SageMaker has gone through a bit of an evolution. So if you're brand new to SageMaker, you might not even realize anything's changed. But if you have used it before, or if you are watching older tutorials on YouTube, you'll probably notice that things look a bit different. In fact, many YouTube videos still use the older SageMaker interface. Back then, what used to happen is when you open the AWS console, type SageMaker, and you would be straight into your notebooks or training jobs. But now, when I recently logged in, I didn't see the old SageMaker label. Instead, I saw something like SageMaker AI. And honestly, my first thought was that probably SageMaker AI was the main platform and that regular SageMaker was just a feature in it. But that's not the case. As of late 2024, AWS has rolled out a new unified experience called SageMaker or SageMaker Unified Studio. Think of it like this. So our SageMaker AI is still your go-to lab instrument for building, training and deploying machine learning models. That's what we studied, right? Perfect if you're classifying cell types or predicting gene expression patterns. Now SageMaker, which is also called a SageMaker Unified Studio, is more like a fully integrated research facility. You can still run your machine learning experiments, but now you also get built-in access to data prep tools like Glue and Athena, SQL analytics like Redshift, generative AI development via Amazon Bedrock, streaming, dashboards and business insights all in one place. So SageMaker Unified Studio has everything in one place. SageMaker AI is a part of SageMaker Unified Studio. Now, why this is helpful is because instead of jumping between different AWS services, like to wrangle data, to analyze results, to build models, to share insights, you can all do this under one roof. Plus, there is a new layer powering this integration, the Lakehouse. Think of it as your digital freezer and sample archive, connecting all your data sources behind the scenes. So how this looks in practice, which we will see in our demo, but let me give you an example from a biological point of view. Imagine you're running a genomics lab in UK. In the past, you'd prep your data in one AWS service, analyze in another, build machine learning models using a SageMaker initially, but now you would use SageMaker AI and maybe use a separate tool for sharing results with collaborators. Now, however, this has changed with SageMaker Unified Studio. Now you can load your raw sequencing data straight into Lakehouse, clean and prep your data with Glue or Athena right inside the studio, train gene expression prediction model using SageMaker AI without ever leaving the workspace, prototype a generative AI app with Amazon Bedrock to visualize your results, share your entire workflow and results with your team, all from a single governed environment. Bottom line, if you're just building the models, which we will be doing, you'll be using SageMaker AI service. But if you want to manage everything from raw data to sharing polished results, Unified Studio is your new research playground. So these are some of the interesting changes that happened recently on SageMaker, which is much more better for us, especially because it lets us do everything under one environment. So by now you have seen what SageMaker is, the machine learning pipeline in SageMaker, how it works behind the scene, and how it's evolved into smarter, more integrated platform with SageMaker AI, and how it simplifies machine learning for researchers like us. But it's not just academic or individual labs using SageMaker. Some of the world's leading biotech, pharma, and healthcare organizations rely on it every day. Now, for example, Moderna has accelerated vaccine research using Amazon Web Services and advanced machine learning tool. The Allen Institute leverages SageMaker for large-scale brain cell transcriptomic and single-cell analysis. Pfizer also applies SageMaker for drug discovery. So as Amgen uses SageMaker for genomic data analysis. There are a few others that come to my mind, like AstraZeneca, which uses SageMaker to streamline again drug discovery and genomic workflows. GE Healthcare, which applies SageMaker to optimize medical imaging and diagnostic. So, SageMaker isn't just a tool, it's driving force behind modern scientific breakthroughs, which is powering over 6,000 organizations worldwide, from startups to industry giant. And the best part is, you don't have to be a Fortune 500 company to get started. Anyone in the lab, whether you are in Canada or in US or UK or anywhere else, can launch SageMaker from your laptop and begin analyzing real biological data with machine learning. So what's next? In the next two videos, we'll go hands-on together. I'll show you how to launch SageMaker, set up a notebook instance, explore the new Unified Studios, and run a real biological machine learning pipeline. We'll also try to cover the cost management, free tier options, and smart tips to avoid accidental charges. I can't wait to see you in the hands-on session. So if you found this helpful, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell so that you don't miss what's coming next. See you soon. Bye.